There's a very good reason professional translators stick like glue to this widely accepted 5-step language translation process. So, I'm going to tell you about you. I'm going to explain you. So, I'm going to talk about the 5 steps, the inherent challenge with translation that makes such a strict process necessary. And I'm going to show you the first step. So first, I have to explain you that there is a well-established best practice 5-step language translation process. This is necessary to ensure translations are consistently of professional quality. This is what translator will do in each step. The step number 1 is the overview. You have to know that the multi-step language translation process professional translator use. So this is step number 1. This is that is overview. The first step is to scope out the text to be translated. That is the subject matter and content. How long it is, writing style, if it's technical, the various sections, and something like that. The translator will typically read or skim read parts of the text to get feel for the text. He or she may note key concepts of terminology that will need to be reached. The second step is initial translation. In this step, the document is systematically translated, typically in chunks of 5 or 10 words at a time. Choosing the appropriate length of individual text chunks to deal with its important. Ideally, each chunk will be discrete and complete unit of meaning. Working with chunks that are too short or not discrete meaning units tend to produce an unnatural or potentially unclear translation, whereas chunks that are too long to easily remember run the risk some meaning being missed in the translation. This last sentence, for example, might typically be split into 4 separate texts in the initial translation process. Another step that we have is the step 3, that is accuracy check, where after the first draft is completed, the translator will then methodologically work through is her translation, comparing each chunk of the text with the original source text. The primary goal here is to confirm no content has been missed and no meaning misinterpreted. Number 4 is clear the mind. The step is very simple. Put the translation aside and take a break. Ideally, this should be for hours overnight. The idea is purely to clear the mind to ensure a more effective 5 or final step. Next, we have the step number 5. The step number 5 is, as you can see, the final polishing. In the final step, the translator reads the translation, this time without reference to the source document, looking solely at quality of expression. Final edits might be made to refine and polish the translated text. Another aspect that you have is the translators follow this process. In a word, no. Professional translators learn this step methodology as part of their 30 translation studies because it is related to them and then understand the need for it. They should automatically follow it and know to take shortcuts. The same can be said of untrained translators, though. Basically, without that formal translating training, it is unlikely someone would instinctively adopt these steps or even appreciate the need of them. I mean, it's not a surprise then that untrained translators frequently use processes that not only are in best practice, but also are sufficiently robust and reliable to overcome the inherent difficulties in the translation process. They are often blissfully unaware of shortcomings in the translation process. Another question that we have to take account of it is, why is such a strict translation process necessary? I mean, because translation is a surprisingly difficult task involving complex mental processing. A translation is surprisingly difficult task, so we have to we need to read and understand the text. We have to keep the meaning or the message of the text. We have to use the grammatical structure of the target language. We have to compose the demand and message in the target language. We have to make sure that the new text is worded in a natural way. It's you can see that it's turned out to be a lot for human brain to handle at once. It's difficult to both correctly convey all the meaning and phrase and its natural sounding language all in one. Basically, you more or less have to concentrate on one aspect more than other. Now, if you concentrate more correctly combining all the meaning, your target language wonder can often be centered on natural. And if you concentrate on creating excellent wording, it is easy to miss nuanced component of the message in translation. The other question that will make us, are each of the steps in the process strictly necessary? Absolutely yes. I mean, as I said before, the first attempt of a translation will typically have some slightly clumsy or unnatural wording, and some aspects of meaning may also have been missed. This is due to the mental processing involved generally being too demanding for the translator to master both accuracy and excellent expression in one go. So the first pass produced only one draft. I want to talk to you about the effect of urgency, rushing, and translation quality. If the project deadline is such that there isn't enough time to complete all these language translation process steps, something has to give. All and that something is inevitably the quality control steps 3 to 5. The translator will be forced to rush, or even worse, to omit the accuracy check on even the final review of wording. For example, or no, more generally, if a translator is feeling stressed due to time to pressure, his translation quality is likely to drop away. Missing or rushing any of the steps will almost inevitably affect quality, with the resultant translation likely to have some inaccuracies. If translation quality is important, you therefore need a translator who is aware of and follows this recognized translation process. So this is all what I can comment for this